In January of 1984, the sweet aroma of oregano and bay leaves filled the tiny air of my kitchen on the Ile Saint-Louis. I stood over a pot of homemade ratatouille with a wooden spoon, stirring slowly, when my telephone rang. I dropped the spoon in the pot and went to answer it. "Hello, oui?" I said in my franglais. "Hi, Lorelei, Mensch here. How's it going?" Said my reappearing friend, Mr. Peter Mensch. "Listen, a couple of guys from my band Def Leppard are coming to Paris for a break. I need you to show them around." I held the phone to my ear and listened to the telephone line crackle across the English Channel as I tried to come up with any excuse to get out of it. "Lorelei, are you there? What do you say?" "Oh, I don't know, Peter. I'm really busy with work right now, and besides, I don't know anything about heavy metal, and Def Leppard either. What am I going to talk about with them?" But Peter persisted. "Oh, I'm sure you and Valerie will think of something. Look, these guys don't speak French, and they don't know their way around Paris. You'd really be doing me a big favor by keeping an eye on them. Kind of keep them out of trouble, okay?" I reluctantly agreed. The day Steve Clark and Phil Collin arrived in Paris, a very chipper Phil telephoned explaining that Menchie, as they called him, told him to call me. Phil and I agreed that they would meet us at our apartment, and after providing him with the directions, it was my turn to do the convincing. My roommate Valerie had a really important audition the next day for Lee Strasberg Acting School, and she was determined to stay home to prepare for it. "Valerie, you've got to come. What am I going to talk about with these guys all night? I can't go alone. Come on, please." After several more minutes of begging, Valerie caved. Our buzzer rang right on time, and Phil's British accent came blasting through the intercom. I buzzed them up our 4-story walk-up, and they made their way up the Tudor-style wooden circular staircase. Our apartment was an old artist atelier with slanted wood-beam ceilings and leaded glass windows that opened out over a very narrow street called the Rue Boudet. It provided a wonderful but perhaps unwelcome glimpse into your neighborhood's bedrooms. It was a 2-story apartment with a petite loft bedroom overlooking the living room, which had a massive open stone fireplace that held a warm winter fire. I opened the door to discover a chipper blonde man smiling at me. "Hello, I'm Phil. Remember me? We met in London at Steve Strange." "Oh, yeah, you were with Mensch and his girlfriend. I remembered." "Right," he said as he bounded up the stairs to find Valerie. Floating quietly behind him was Steve. Or was it a ray of light? I don't know, but he glowed. In fact, I couldn't help noticing. A bright light shone all around him, wrapping itself like a firewire from his ankles all the way up around his knees, continuing all the way up around his golden blonde hair and down the other side. This illumination reminded me of the shimmering halo of an angel. I felt a chill followed by an adrenaline rush that I attempted to hide behind my smile. And we just stood there for a moment, beaming at each other until we found our voices and then introduced ourselves. Leading him up the stairs, we joined Phil and Valerie. We fixed them a drink and sat in front of the fire, making awkward small talk. Steve was very shy, but funny, while I was tripping all over my words nervously. What instrument do you play?" I asked, prompting a nudge from the incredulous Valerie, who whispered in my ear, "Can't you see the solid gold guitar hanging around his neck?" I felt like such a dummy, but Steve didn't mind. In fact, he smiled because he found it refreshing that we didn't know much about them. The 2 young men took a few moments to look around our apartment, marveling at how 2 American girls could live in such a beautiful place. Steve sat back and sunk into the couch and said, I could live here. And he did.